The same prediction system that normally keeps you safe starts creating catastrophic forecasts about everyday situations. Take that job interview you have next week. A normal prediction might be something like, I should prepare my answers and arrive on time. But an anxious brain might predict, I'm going to freeze up, forget everything I know, and they'll think I'm completely incompetent. The brain treats this prediction as if it's already happening, flooding your body with stress hormones and making you feel like you're in immediate danger. Or consider walking into a crowded restaurant. Your brain might normally predict, I'll find a table and order food. But if your prediction system is malfunctioning, it might generate something like, everyone will stare at me, I'll trip on the way to my table, and the server will think I'm weird. Your body responds to this prediction as if it's a real and present threat, even though you're just trying to get dinner. The fascinating part is that these predictions feel completely real in the moment. Your brain doesn't distinguish between actual threats and predicted threats. When it forecasts that you'll embarrass yourself in a meeting, your heart starts racing, your palms get sweaty, and your stomach churns, just as if the embarrassment were actually happening right now. The physical symptoms are identical whether the threat is real or just a prediction gone wrong. Recent neuroscience research has shown us exactly what's happening in anxious brains. During these prediction errors, functional MRI studies show hyperactivity in the amygdala when anxious predictions fire. Science confirms these systems are real. The prefrontal cortex, which usually helps regulate emotions and make rational decisions, can become overwhelmed by these false threat signals. The hippocampus, which helps form and retrieve memories, starts pulling up every negative experience you've ever had that might be relevant to the current situation. If you're nervous about a presentation, it might flood your mind with memories of that one time you stumbled over your words in 3rd grade, or when you forgot your lines in the school play, or when your boss looked annoyed during your last meeting. These memories get woven into the catastrophic prediction, making it feel even more real and urgent. What makes this particularly problematic is that anxious brains tend to give much more weight to negative predictions than positive ones. This is partly due to something called negativity bias. Your brain is wired to pay more attention to potential threats than to potential opportunities. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Missing a chance to find food might make you hungry, but missing a chance to avoid a predator could get you killed. But in modern life, this negativity bias can turn your prediction system into a disaster generator. Instead of balanced forecasts that consider both positive and negative possibilities, anxious brains create predictions that focus almost exclusively on what could go wrong. You might have given 50 successful presentations, but your brain predicts failure based on that one time things didn't go perfectly. The prediction errors in anxiety follow predictable patterns. Social anxiety involves predicting rejection, judgment, and humiliation in social situations. Generalized anxiety creates predictions of disaster across multiple areas of life. Panic disorder generates predictions of losing control or having a medical emergency. Each type of anxiety has its own signature prediction errors. Here's what changes everything about treatment. Once you understand that anxiety is fundamentally about faulty predictions rather than actual threats, you can start working with the prediction system itself. Instead of just trying to manage the symptoms of anxiety, you can actually retrain your brain to generate more accurate forecasts about the future. This understanding also explains why certain treatments work so well. Cognitive behavioral therapy helps people identify and challenge their prediction errors. Exposure therapy allows people to test their predictions against reality and discover that their fears often don't come true. Mindfulness techniques help people observe their predictions without automatically believing them. The really encouraging part is that prediction systems can be retrained. Your brain is constantly updating its prediction algorithms based on new information. When you start noticing your prediction errors and challenging them with real-world evidence, your brain begins to generate more accurate forecasts. The same neuroplasticity that allowed anxiety patterns to develop can also help you develop healthier prediction patterns. But this raises a crucial question that many people struggle with. Normal brains make predictions too, and sometimes those predictions involve legitimate concerns. So when does prediction stop being helpful? Keep that question in mind as we dive into the warning signs that normal worry has become a disorder. The line between reasonable caution and something that needs professional attention isn't always clear, and many people find themselves wondering which side they're on. When worry becomes a prison, Three key factors determine when worry crosses into disorder territory: intensity, duration, and impact on your daily life. Normal anxiety feels proportional to the situation that triggers it. You worry about a job interview because getting the job matters to you. You feel nervous before a medical test because the results could affect your health. These reactions make sense and usually fade once the situation resolves. Anxiety becomes a disorder when it's excessive compared to the actual threat level. If you're losing sleep for weeks before a routine dentist appointment, or if you can't concentrate at work because you're convinced your teenage daughter will get in a car accident every time she drives to school, the intensity doesn't match the realistic level of concern the situation warrants. Consider two different responses to starting a new job. Person A feels nervous the first week, worries about making a good impression, and has some trouble sleeping the night before important meetings. After a month, they've settled in and the anxiety fades. Person B spends 3 months having panic attacks every morning, calling in sick when the anxiety gets too overwhelming, and constantly checking their phone for emails from their boss, convinced they're about to be fired despite positive feedback. Studies find that over 19% of US adults experience an anxiety disorder yearly, making Person B far from alone. The duration factor is crucial in making this distinction. The DSM-5 defines generalized anxiety disorder as worry occurring more days than not for at least 6 months. Temporary anxiety in response to specific stressors is normal and expected. But when anxiety becomes a constant companion that doesn't ease up even when things are going well, it's crossed into disorder territory. Lisa thought her anxiety was normal because she'd always been a worrier. She worried about her kids, her marriage, her finances, her health, and her aging parents. But when she started tracking her worry patterns, she realized she spent at least 4 hours every day caught in anxiety spirals about things that might go wrong. She couldn't watch a movie without her mind wandering to potential disasters. She couldn't enjoy dinner with friends because she was mentally rehearsing conversations she might need to have with her boss next week. Therapists recommend journaling to move worries from mind to paper, a technique supported by multiple studies. The third factor, impact on daily functioning, often provides the clearest answer about whether anxiety has become a disorder. Anxiety becomes problematic when it consistently interferes with your relationships, work performance, or ability to engage in activities you used to enjoy. If you're turning down social invitations because your anxiety about meeting new people is too intense, or if you're avoiding important tasks at work because the anxiety about potential failure feels unbearable, your anxiety has moved beyond normal worry. Mark's social anxiety illustrates this progression. He'd always been somewhat shy, preferring small gatherings to large parties. That was just his personality, and it didn't cause problems. But gradually, his discomfort in social situations intensified. He started declining invitations to co-workers' birthday parties. Then he began eating lunch alone to avoid casual conversations in the break room. Eventually, he was avoiding team meetings when possible and turning down projects that required collaboration. His career stagnated because his anxiety had created barriers to normal workplace interactions. The gray areas where many people find themselves can be particularly confusing. You might function reasonably well at work, but struggle intensely with social situations. Or you might excel in your professional life, while your anxiety makes personal relationships difficult to maintain. Some people develop sophisticated coping mechanisms that mask their anxiety from others while they suffer internally. Physical symptoms often signal that anxiety has become more serious. While everyone experiences occasional butterflies or racing thoughts, anxiety disorders typically involve persistent physical symptoms like muscle tension, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, irritability, and sleep disturbances. When these symptoms become chronic and interfere with your daily activities, they indicate that your anxiety has moved beyond normal stress responses. Sarah's experience shows how anxiety can gradually escalate without her realizing it had become a disorder. Her worry about her children's safety started reasonably. She wanted them to wear helmets while biking and call when they arrived at friends' houses. But over time, her safety concerns expanded. She began researching crime statistics for every neighborhood they visited. She started checking news reports obsessively for local accidents or incidents. She installed tracking apps on their phones and checked their locations dozens of times per day. When her teenager complained that the constant check-ins were embarrassing and her husband pointed out that she seemed unable to relax, even when the kids were safely at home. Sarah realized her anxiety had taken over. The worry that started as normal parental concern had grown into something that consumed hours of her day and strained her family relationships. Recognizing that your anxiety has crossed the line into a disorder can feel frightening, but it's actually the most important step toward getting better. Many people spend years thinking their anxiety is just part of their personality, or that they should be able to handle it on their own. Understanding that anxiety disorders are medical conditions with effective treatments can be incredibly relieving. The American Psychiatric Association found that 43% of adults reported feeling more anxious in 2024 than the previous year, showing that anxiety is increasingly common. But increased awareness also means more people are recognizing when their anxiety needs professional attention and seeking help earlier. The boundary between normal anxiety and an anxiety disorder isn't always crystal clear, but the impact on your life provides the most reliable guide. When anxiety consistently prevents you from living the way you want to live, when it creates barriers to relationships or opportunities, when it consumes significant mental energy that could be directed toward more fulfilling activities, it's time to consider that you might be dealing with something more serious than everyday worry. Understanding these warning signs becomes even more important when you realize that anxiety disorders take many different forms. Some people experience anxiety that spreads across every area of their lives, turning their minds into constant worry machines that never shut off. Generalized anxiety, the everything disorder. Generalized anxiety disorder affects 3.1% of US adults, according to ADA data, making it extremely common. This is exactly what the name suggests. Your anxiety doesn't focus on one specific thing like spiders or public speaking. Instead, it spreads across every area of your life like spilled water, soaking into everything it touches. Jessica's morning routine shows what GAD looks like in real life. She wakes up thinking about her presentation at work, then immediately starts worrying about whether her teenage son will remember to take his lunch money. While brushing her teeth, she remembers she needs to call her mother, which triggers concern about her mom's recent doctor visit. By the time she's dressed, she's already worried about traffic, her boss's mood, the weird noise her car made yesterday, and whether she paid the electric bill. Her day hasn't even started, but her mind has already visited a dozen potential disasters. The prediction system in GAD works over time across multiple domains simultaneously. Where someone with a specific phobia might have a malfunctioning prediction system that only activates around heights or dogs, people with GAD have prediction systems that find potential threats everywhere. Their brains constantly scan for problems in their relationships, health, finances, work performance, family safety, and even minor daily tasks. This creates an exhausting state of hypervigilance. Tom describes it as feeling like a security guard who never gets to go off duty. His brain monitors his wife's tone of voice for signs of relationship problems, analyzes his boss's emails for hints of job dissatisfaction, and tracks his children's moods for evidence of bullying or depression. He can't sit down to watch television without his mind wandering to unpaid bills, upcoming deadlines, or that strange look his neighbor gave him last week. According to ADA 2022 data, 6.8 million US adults live with GAD, with women being twice as likely to develop the condition as men. What makes these statistics particularly concerning is that GAD typically develops gradually, often going unrecognized for years. People frequently assume their constant worry is just part of their personality rather than a treatable medical condition. The physical symptoms of GAD often surprise people because they don't realize anxiety can affect the body so extensively. Chronic muscle tension is extremely common, particularly in the neck, shoulders, and jaw. People clench their teeth without realizing it, leading to headaches and dental problems. The constant state of alertness exhausts the nervous system, causing fatigue that sleep doesn't seem to cure. Research shows 60% of people with GAD report severe sleep disturbances, exemplified by constant rumination like Maria's. Her brain wouldn't shut off at bedtime. She'd lie awake reviewing conversations from the day, planning tomorrow's tasks, and worrying about problems that might arise weeks in the future. Even when physically exhausted, her mind kept generating new concerns that demanded attention. She started keeping a notebook by her bed to write down worries, but found herself filling multiple pages each night. Concentration becomes nearly impossible when your attention constantly shifts between different worry topics. Students with GAD struggle to focus on lectures because their minds jump from upcoming assignments to family problems to financial concerns. Workers find themselves rereading emails multiple times because they can't absorb the information while simultaneously worrying about other tasks. The inability to concentrate fully on any single activity creates a sense of being constantly behind and overwhelmed. Decision-making becomes particularly challenging with GAD because every choice generates multiple worry scenarios. Choosing a restaurant for dinner triggers concerns about food safety, cost, whether everyone will like the food, parking availability, and timing. Planning a vacation involves excessive research into weather patterns, crime statistics, hotel reviews, and transportation options. Simple decisions that others make quickly become lengthy internal debates about potential negative outcomes. The relationship impact of GAD often catches people off guard. Rachel's husband grew frustrated with her constant need for reassurance about their relationship. She would ask multiple times per day if he was happy, if she had said something wrong, or if he was mad about something. Her anxiety made her hyper-aware of any changes in his behavior, leading her to overanalyze casual comments or brief silences. What started as caring concern gradually became exhausting for both of them. The constant worry pattern in GAD follows predictable cycles. A worry thought appears, triggering physical anxiety symptoms, which then generate more worry thoughts about the anxiety itself. People start worrying about their worry, creating layers of meta-anxiety that multiply the original concern. This cycle can continue for hours or even days, with the original trigger becoming lost in the expanding web of related fears. The good news is that GAD responds exceptionally well to treatment. Cognitive behavioral therapy helps people identify their worry patterns and develop skills to interrupt the anxiety cycles. Modern approaches focus on helping people recognize when their prediction systems are generating false alarms and teaching them to respond differently to worry thoughts. Digital tools are revolutionizing GAD treatment in 2025. Wearable stress trackers can detect elevated heart rate and stress markers, then prompt users to practice breathing exercises or mindfulness techniques. As one expert notes, imagine receiving a prompt from your mental health app to do a breathing exercise after detecting elevated heart rate and stress markers. These innovations empower you to take control daily.